What are you doing with that?
Well, it's part of it's my prop for this lesson. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll explain to you as we go.
We're live.
Okay, all right. Welcome to Blog to Your Talent. This is lesson 25, and we are on the topic of how to write. And
with that. Okay,
well,
go ahead.
yeah, it's the okay. On how to write, you want to have a hook. See, that's my prop. This is where it comes in. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
This is a prop. Actually, it's a crowbar, but it sure looks like a hook. It's got a really strong hook, and it's going to grab your reader's attention. So the idea of a hook, and this is, you can actually Google this. There's lots of definitions of what a hook is.
You might. What else would you put in the keyword besides just plain hook?
That's a
Writer's
writing.
hook.
Right, writing hook.
We're gonna Google it. Don't just put hook, because you'll get all kinds of fishing
Captain
and all
Hook,
that.
yeah.
Captain Hook. Okay.
Well, just as it says, what it is it's something that's going to, you're going to get inside the reader's mind, and you're going to ask a question or make a statement that's a little bit startling or that's going to arouse their curiosity. And it's something to basically say, hey, pay attention, I got something important to say.
I got an example of this. Okay, we have a son who is into baking and cooking, and he could start his blog with, today I'm going to write about a recipe that I did over the weekend that had I not caught the recipe in time, it could have exploded. Okay, that right away makes you think, okay, what in the world, what recipe would make something in the kitchen explode?
That's a hook.
That's a
very
hook.
good. I'm
that
curious.
drew my attention, and I don't have an answer. I don't know what it would be, but had he put that in there and he had something relevant to say about that, that would get my attention.
Right.
So
Very good. So that's a hook, and you want that to begin, and it doesn't always have to be like super dramatic with
Right.
explosions.
Right.
So that's a popular one.
Do stories work as a hook? Like
Well, not necessarily, because in this case, a story, good stories do have hooks.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, this is important because this is a blog about
Right.
your talent.
Okay.
It's not a story blog. So when you're blogging about your talent, you've got little stories in there. But when you're going all out on a story, that's actually, you're writing a book, and it's not a blog.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a difference between the two.
Okay.
So with a blog, you're trying to bring across some information, and you might have a story in it, but when I say story in a blog, I'm talking like 2-3 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit different than a full-blown
Okay.
story.
Unless it's something like last weekend, I was on the airplane and found something that would be like in a conversation with something that would be interesting about maybe where you were, but don't go on about that. It's just to say something maybe unique to what you're going to blog about that made you maybe question. You saw
Right.
something on the airplane that made you wonder about being up, 10,000 feet in the air, and that happens to be related to your talent, then you can go into that. But I'm just saying, like, as a introduction, you're talking about maybe where you were when you had this thought, then you went home and practiced it, and here's your outcome.
Right. Now, I do want to mention that, and I've seen writers do this, where they come up with a great hook, but then the rest of their blog has nothing to do with answering the desire that you woke up in your reader about the hook. So if you're going to use the hook about exploding food,
It has to be about
then you better
exploding
give
food.
the answer about the exploding food and not
It
not
doesn't
go
have
off
to
on
actually
different tangents.
explode, but you could,
Right. How you avoided that.
Right.
So you want some kind of hook that's going to get your reader's attention, and it can be an intellectual question too. So it can be very cerebral. It can be, something that's like, oh, I really need to know the answer to that. And so it's going to grab your reader's attention, and you're going to satisfy the reader's curiosity by giving them the answer in the rest of the post. So again, remember, you're not writing a novel. You're not writing a story. This is a bit of information, and you bring them in with a little bit of a hook, so they'll pay attention. And in the beginning, when you write, some of your hooks will be so obvious. Some people say, "Oh, that's a hook. They're trying to get my attention." Well, that's okay. When you get more advanced, maybe you can
more
a
natural,
little more
at it
subtle.
later. Yeah.
But go for the hook in the beginning. That's important. Also, so the exercise in this lesson is for you to go back to your old post. Now, there's going to be quite a few posts by now that you have written. So go back to your old post and put in a hook at the beginning of each post.
And you may want to, if you can't think of one for one post, just go to the next one until you find one that you come up with a natural hook for that post.
Yeah, you could even ask your mom or dad
Yeah.
for a great hook that could be that could really get someone's attention. Now, also at the same time, when you put in the hook as part of the exercise, I want you to go back also and add an emotional reaction at the end of each of those posts. So the hook is like, hey, I baked something that could have exploded in the kitchen last week. Okay, and then you give the rest of your post the information how it didn't explode or how you saved the day, and then at the end you provide an emotional reaction about how it turned out to be such a great party because you were able to come up with that big baking experiment. So you want an emotional reaction. Open with the hook, and finish with an emotional reaction. All right. Thanks for listening to us today, and happy talent journey. We'll see you on the next lesson.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how Caleb has his kind of system for crafting a hook or something that at least you've done in the past for your blog
For
post.
the hook is basically what you want the readers. They start reading something, they think the post might be interesting. You want them to start reading, and then just you grab them from there and make them read the rest of the post. So what I would do for that is normally asking like a question, voicing a question that could commonly be in a person's head, like why does this do that? And then, or I could do that, and then of course I go on to explain it in the blog post, and they'll want to know the answer, so they read through that. Or I start out by stating an interesting fact that they didn't know, but that's really interesting. They're like, oh hey, maybe there's more of these, so then they read through the blog post to keep going.
So you got a couple ideas and that help keep your reader involved into your in your blog posts. Okay, there you go.